Spartan Nerd here, and today I would like to offer my predictions for the Master Universe movie. I haven't seen anything since January, or when they put out the first trailer. I think that was January. I haven't seen anything since then. I haven't seen other trailers, and I know that some people seen the movie, like Pixel Dan, whoever. I ain't watched any of those videos. I don't want to be spoiled. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know. I want to see it myself tomorrow, and then I'll have a reaction video ready. Probably do one with no spoilers, and probably one with spoilers and my thoughts. All right. But for right now, I want to offer my predictions. But what have I been doing with my time? Well, I got some new comics to read, some new figures. This is a Lieutenant Falcon in a windowless box. Mythic Legions Battle Dwarf Weapons Pack 2. I'll be reviewing those things soon. But the biggest concern right now is obviously the Master Universe movie, right? So here we go. My first prediction: cameos by the 1987 movie stars. I don't think it'd be a stretch that Dolph Lundgren may be in this film in some capacity. Last thing I saw him in was Aquaman, and he was largely CGI. They had CGI'd his face over a obvious CGI human. That's what it was. I They could just do the same thing. They made this action figure and does not look like him. I don't think they had the rights to use his face. They did Meg Foster. Once again, she could be in there. Frank Langella could be in there. Of course, he didn't look like himself. He's Skeletor, right? But they could have Courtney Cox. They could, just have them in the film somehow. Like the Marvel did with Stan Lee. They'd always work him in somehow, right? That's throwing us old school fans, a cookie. Throwing us a pumpkin pie or a popsicle. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? Monster Energy. Monster Energy. All right. So what do I not expect? None of the Cosmic Key, no Gwildor, none of that old story. I expect that not to be here. All right. Okay, so it's going to go like this. What do I expect and what do I not expect? Most of them are kind of like opposites. All right. The CGI to have been improved since the first trailer. After the first trailer came out, there was a lot of reaction by the internet. I thought the CGI looked pretty good. But when someone said it looks like Harry Potter CGI from the Harry Potter movies, and the more I watched the trailer, the more I knew they were right. But that was, 6 months ago or something, 5 months ago. So they've had time to improve it. And they probably have. That was probably early footage. Famously, that movie Rogue One, they changed the ending 3 or 4 times in the last 6 months, from what I heard. I mean, so they can edit stuff all the way up pretty much to release nowadays. I don't expect in this movie there to be any She-Ra references. It's just something about She-Ra and the rights are not connected to Master Universe when it comes down to media and stuff. That's why we haven't seen a lot of She-Ra with He-Man and a lot of stuff. Like, for instance, there was a Netflix show of She-Ra. Then they did the Master Universe Revelation. At the end, they had Despera, who us longtime fans know is just kind of like a dark version of Adora. But they didn't have to go that direction with that. Of course, they left it all on a cliffhanger they'll never resolve, but I don't think we'll have any She-Ra references in this film. Will it ever happen? Could it ever happen? Yeah, it could. I don't think it's like a big break like between Marvel and DC. I just think it's probably in their best interest not to put She-Ra in there for this first movie. In future movies, yeah. All right, Jared Leto. Okay, my thoughts on Jared Leto. I liked his Joker in the Suicide Squad. I understand the people who didn't like it, and I know why they didn't like it, but he was pretty comic book accurate to like the dragon tattoos and all that kind of stuff. Which I know that's not Leto's design choice. He might have had some say, but that was from the Dark Knight universe Joker, and they just kind of turned it into film. He was more of a gangster. Yeah, it was different than like a big science fiction story. And that's weird to say because Joker's a comic book character, right? But like the whole thing about Harley Quinn, the writers wrote it so that they were actually a power couple instead of them being a like the Joker actually just kind of uses Harley all the time, right? So, and she's got a crush on him. That's really the true dynamic it was back then when that came out. They've changed all of that in the comic book since, but the traditional dynamic was that, and they broke that. But it wasn't Jared Leto's fault. That was the writer's fault. I personally liked his Joker, and I don't have nothing against the guy. I don't know what else he was in. All right, but for uh, for Skeletor, I think he's going to. This is going to be his new thing. People will be like, "Oh, like Harrison Ford is Han Solo or Indiana Jones." That's his thing. Jared Leto's thing is going to be Skeletor. That's my prediction. I don't think. I do not expect to see any main characters killed off. I think Beastman survives this one. I think Triclops survives. Trapjaw survives. I think nobody gets killed off. That's my thought. Okay, why kill them off? I mean, you can use them later. Everybody loves them. It's like that whole what robot chicken about Faker or whatever. I don't know if I should recommend y'all to go watch it. Reverend Spartan Nerd can recommend that. I don't know. All right, okay. What else? Allison Brie is going to kill it. I mean, she's going to be awesome. Now, I watched her in that wrestling show that was called the Women of Wrestling or whatever. Women of Wrestling. Wow, Women of Wrestling. What was that called? She was good in that. All right, she was the Russian, whatever. She was good. She's a good actress. This is a big role, and I think she's going to kill it. I can't wait to see what she does with Evil-Lyn, and I like her as an actress, and I think she's going to bring it. Now, I don't know anything about the other actors. I don't know about Nick Galitzine. I don't know about that guy. I just know Jared Leto, and I know Allison Brie. So, yeah. The other people, I don't know. I hope Galitzine is a great He-Man. I hope so. Oh, Idris Elba. He's going to be awesome as Nat Ars, but I also kind of think it's a similar character to say the guy with Thor with the sword, blind guy. That's the same actor, right? So, I think it's not that dissimilar of a role. Was he also in the Dark Tower? Yeah, he was the gunslinger in that Dark Tower movie that didn't do well. Now, Dark Tower is excellent, and I thought the movie was okay. All right, it didn't rest on him for not being great. So Allison Brie is going to kill it. All right, musical numbers. No, I don't expect there to be any musical numbers. I expect the soundtrack to be nostalgic and awesome, updated, maybe similar to what we had with Superman last year. The Superman movie that they did had a really cool soundtrack. I also thought the soundtrack for The Mandalorian Grogu was pretty good, but it didn't have any of that nostalgic. It didn't seem like a Star Wars soundtrack, and I missed that. It was a good soundtrack, but I missed that. That was something I missed from that movie. I think this one's going to have Eternia themes, evil themes, dark hemisphere, light hemisphere, maybe even like the motif thing like they do on Star Wars for each character. I don't know, but I expect also music. I don't expect musical numbers, which did kind of sort of happen in the old cartoon days, right? But that was for kids, and I just don't think it's going to be in this movie. Let's see. I expect there will be a lead into a sequel, maybe a trilogy. Since every single franchise comes out to be a trilogy nowadays, most of the time. But this is a chance. So, okay, I don't know. I mean, Mattel did Barbie. I ain't watched Barbie. I probably should. All right, I ain't watch it. But Barbie was a hit. Okay. Then there was a Super Mario was a hit for Nintendo. I didn't see either that one or the Galaxy movie that just came out, which everybody says was terrible. But I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. I ain't seen it. All I'm saying is I haven't watched a lot of these things. I've seen plenty of the '80s stuff, sort of, kind of ruined. Uh, I like the Michael Bay Transformers books. I mean movies, but that third movie, I just couldn't. I could not. I had a headache by the time it was over. I mean, did that ruin Transformers? No, not really. It was just a new, different Transformers. I like the designs and stuff, but then it wasn't lighthearted enough or something. It was too edgy, too extreme, something. All right. The last Transformer movies I saw was Rise of the Beast. I don't recommend that movie, and that gets to another point that I'll have later on. But all right, so I think there'll be a lead in to a sequel, maybe a trilogy. And, all right, more about that in a minute. I do not think there will be long Earth sequences. One of the big criticisms of the '87 movie was most of the movie was on Earth. We had just about 15 minutes or less of eternity. I think that's going to flip for this movie. We know that some of it's going to be on Earth. Adam is in an office building, and we see the city and Beastman jumping on a car. That kinds of stuff. All right, I don't think it's going to be a major, big chunk of this movie because it's not. That's one of the least well received things about the '87 movie. It wasn't fantasy enough. It was too grounded. You had a music store. You had a barbecue restaurant. You had just houses with picket fences, and yeah, I don't think we'll have long Earth sequences in this movie. There might be a couple of them. I don't think they'll be long. Okay, here's a comparison. I think this movie may have the same amount of humor and action mix that Thor Ragnarok. If you remember back, the first Thor movie, I remember talking to my youth group kids, and this kid was like, "Yeah, Thor, he's just too wise." What they were saying was he was too serious all the time, you know. And I think Marvel heard that and Sony Marvel, whoever, and they made the next movie, Thor Ragnarok, a lot more humorous, and it really is funny. They found the correct balance. Now, that said, it will not be like Love and Thunder. Okay, I think Love and Thunder was too campy, too not focused on the superhero aspect of the story. That's why you came to the movies to see a superhero story, not some kind of comedy. About that movie, Gore the God Butcher was terrifying in the comic books. Christian Bale's Gore the God Butcher wasn't scary at all. And if I think so, you have that element plus more of a comedy movie kind of going there. I think it's a cute movie. It's not my favorite Thor movie. All right. I think this Master Universe movie is going to be more like Ragnarok, less like Love and Thunder. I don't think this will be all serious Empire Strikes Back though. I don't think it's going to be that. Let's see. I expect this will be the summer's movie. The summer's movie. It's coming out June the 5th. I'm watching it tomorrow, early showing. Yeah. I think this is the movie to beat this summer. Now, I understand that Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out July the 30th. These movies aren't in competition with each other, really. They moved the Avengers Doomsday thing off to December. That was a good move. They wanted to keep it away from Mass Universe. Now, that's a bold statement because guess what? They put it at the same time as Doom 3. So, I don't know, but I think this is the big. She said, what about Supergirl? I think Supergirl's going to be cute. It's going to be good. I'm going to like it. I'm a comic book kind of guy. I don't know that people will widely get it. I think people widely get He-Man Master Universe. But that said, there's an element of sort of punk rock to being a Master Universe fan, to being the Spartan nerd, to being someone like, I don't know, the Toy Federation or, a Dork Lair or whoever. There's an element of this is our property, okay? And we're cool because we like it, or we're nerds because other people don't like it. I think we may lose that. Once everybody jumps on, it's going to be a whole lot more cool to be a He-Man kind of guy. Look, I work in middle school. Most of the kids, when they released the trailer, I wore the same shirt to school and walked around and said, "Hey, did you see the trailer? Did you see the trailer? What are you talking about, Spartan Nerd? What are you talking about?" Almost none of them knew. One or two knew that their dads were involved or their moms were involved in the fan community. But most of them did not know. Some of them were kind of aware of the Netflix She-Ra cartoon. Some of them went because I said so and watched the Revelation cartoon. But mostly, it's not like they recognize it. You see so many Spider-Man book bags, hoodies, or whatever, and that's great. I love Spider-Man. You look behind me, you see Spider-Man comic books probably. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying Master Universe is a smaller fan base. I think we may lose that, but that'd be great if a lot of kids got onto it and it made Mattel pay attention to it and not disappear. If you remember that time that it disappeared, like after the '90s, early '90s, there was years with nothing. And then the 2000X things kind of fell flat, and it was terrifying that we were about to have nothing. But Mattel listened to the fans and came out with the classics toy line, which has led into where we are today. There's a movie. Um, that's my thoughts on that. So I don't expect Marvel or DC to surpass it. They have watered down their fan base. I think that is especially true of Marvel. Marvel movies. I saw the Fantastic Four last year. I thought it was good, but was it the Infinity War? No, nothing like that. It's not like people are sitting around going, "What's going to happen next with Fantastic Four?" Nobody's saying that. I mean, has anybody ever said that? I don't know. It's like the Infinity War was the big story. That was the Star Wars ending that we should have with Star Wars. They did that right at the end of the Infinity War. And I'm not saying they should have stopped making movies. I'm just saying I feel like that was the peak of everything that was there. A couple of Spider-Man movies since then have been really good. Most of the stuff they've done has been short of the mark, including Thor: Love and Thunder. Right? Um, let's see. All right. I expect in this movie there to be some of the mythology laid down. Most of the comic books and everything, the recent cartoons, everything, lay out a mythology. So they give us and it's usually been new. The Filmations show gave us nothing. You just had to watch it, and there was a little bit of inconsistency too. And but for the most part, what mythology was there, you just had to pick up from watching the show, and you formulated in your head how it worked. But since then, so to say, in 2000X, they had Skeletor had his face burned off with acid during a battle with King Randor. That's giving us backstory. We never had that backstory in the Filmation days. Another story for Skeletor was that he was some interdimensional skeleton alien. All right, that's another one. All right, so I think this movie will have a different mythology than we've seen. All right, I don't think so. And when I say that, I'm talking about we usually see Zor. It's like almost like gods. Zor and Havoc have been gods that they've had. In the past, there's also been Serpos. What was the bat one called? Harakoth. So these were like this, and so it's like you see Zor, that's a totem, or you see the Havoc staff, that's a totem, or the bat emblem on Hordak's chest is a totem. So laying out the mythology for this specific movie, it probably different than any of those that we've seen before, and that's perfectly fine. Give us a new story, but don't get too crazy wild. All right, I don't think we will see Merman, Panther, Whiplash, Clawful, Modulok, Cobra Khan. I don't think we'll see Stratos, Buzz-Off, Zodak, Extendar. I don't think we'll see these people. They've not been in the trailers, nothing. And I think it's a good idea to hold them back. And Mattel's good about that. Not giving us everything all at once so we can all buy it all at once and then they have nothing else to offer us. Instead, what they do, and you see this in the Origins going on right now, right? They finally put out like Laser Light He-Man. But everybody else they put out has been some new Snake Man or something that people probably buying. They wouldn't be making them if they wouldn't, but it's not what I want. But anyway. So what about what might happen? I have some what might happens. Orko. It just seems wrong for them not to include Orko. He hasn't been in a trailer. He wasn't in the first trailer. I don't know. I don't think he's been in any. Remember in that movie, Star Wars, The Last Jedi? Yeah, one of them terrible ones. But they held back Yoda. We didn't know Yoda was going to be in the movie. And that was a big surprise. And they managed to keep that secret all the way up to the release. I think Orko is going to be like that. I think I already heard a theory from somebody early on that it shows Adam at a toy store grabbing the sword off of a giant Vicor, which is probably uh, Torak or whatever that other barbarian name, but he's obviously Vicor. He's grabbing that sword, and there's a store like a lady behind the counter saying you can't do that. Someone already said, I bet that's Orko. It could be. Another theory was there's a scene where the good guys are walking in, obviously to battle. It's just one of those kind of shots where you can see everybody, and it's a little fuzzy about who is behind on the left side. and thought maybe they CGI'd out Orko. He would be there, and they just put some generic NPCs right there. Maybe those are both wrong, but I think Orko might be in this movie. I think there might be a mention of the evil horde. That would go with the thing about the mythology. So, evil horde might be mentioned. I don't think it's going to be a main plot point. I don't think it's going to be a big pivot, kind of like in the movie Justice League, when they pivoted and there was this humongous fight with Steppenwolf. Isn't that? Am I remembering that right? So I don't think there'll be a pivot to the evil horde in that way. King Grayskull may be in this movie, and some theories were that Dolph Lundgren is King Grayskull. It might be so. We may see the origin of Skeletor. I wonder which one they will use. The thing about the acid on the face makes sense. Merging him with a demon, whatever. People don't like that. That might be what they do. I don't know. I don't think, but there might be. No, I know there will be political statements. I don't think it's going to be a humongous point. I mean, some of these Marvel movies and stuff have been so deeply political, they've ruined the movies. That's my problem with the movie Transformers: Rise of the Beast, political movie. I mean, why? Why? It was about Beast Wars and Transformers. Why do we have to throw in any political statements at all? I think Snake Man may be mentioned in this. Might be. So these are my predictions. We'll see how much comes true. Hey, I'll be back tomorrow night or Thursday with more about the movie.